It was but a month ago when our old ships were heroically defending our convoys off the coast of Germany in the North Sea. Yet in April 1913, the world has changed radically. The people of Russia have decided that after many failures and misbehavior and misdealings of their imperial leaders, to overthrow them, and the communists have taken control of the government. They have declared themselves the Soviet Union and have immediately started a major offensive from Ukraine into the territory of Hungary, and to relieve the pressure on the Eastern Poland front. Meanwhile, the German attackers from the north and from the west are making some progress, whereas the Austro-Hungarians who are attacking from Bohemia haven't really gained any ground. The British have decided to stand by the Soviets their old allies, despite the overthrow of government, which has triggered the United States to declare war on the Soviet Union. Because obviously the threat of communism in Europe is too large for them to ignore, which then also has led to the British to declare war on their former colony, such that England and the United States are now at war with each other as well. This is a very fortunate turn of events for us, because Italy at the same time has also launched another operation against Austria itself, and with outnumbering the defenders almost 2-1. This means that the Austro-Hungarian Empire is severely beleaguered from two sides, and having the Americans join the war hopefully draws some of their naval attention away from us. Meanwhile, we have spotted four Soviet heavy cruisers around Copenhagen, and it looks like the Soviet battleships still are not interested in giving battle. We will probably we will try to intercept them if they leave their ports. We just have to stand clear of their minefields. Hopefully, we can manage to catch them in the Narrows. We will move a little bit. We'll move off the coast of Tallinn, and where the strait is as at its smallest point, and hopefully be able to intercept the Soviet ships as they're leaving port. Meanwhile, some of our ships should have returned to active duty. Yes, so Nassau and Braunschweig are back on active duty in the North Sea. The battle cruisers, out of the battle cruisers, we have, I think, we should have one. The Wuppertal. The Wuppertal is back in operation in Wilhelmshaven. And the other three are still in repair for 2 or 3 more months. We are constructing almost at limit, so we're still very, very busy with. Our shipyards are still fully set, and we might have some interesting research coming up in the coming months. We will have some better hull construction, and we might be seeing. Do we know already what this is going to be? 12,000-ton light cruisers. So maybe at some point we can start building light cruisers. Right now, I'm not a huge fan of these. Everything else is still a bit away. That's mine warfare 3. We will have Mark II 14-inch guns. These don't get converted because there are different texts, but 355 millimeter Mark II guns. Mark III is sort of where I would start using them, but we will see. Maybe in the next iteration of shipbuilding. There is a British fleet of a heavy cruiser, 3 light cruisers, and 3 destroyers out here, but right now they are sailing around Scapa Flow, so that's not an awful lot. And these submarines seem to be, I'm not sure if they are moving where I want them to move. So let's attempt that again, and send them over into the North Sea. There we go, and see if they can make their way through. Otherwise, I'll have to move them around. If they can't get through the canal, I'll have to move them around and station them in Helgoland. After the threat in the North Sea to our transports has been dealt with, the Nassau and the battlecruiser Wuppertal, both newly repaired, have reinforced our fleets in the Baltics, going through the canal at Kiel, and are being blocked or intercepted by a Soviet task force consisting of the battlecruiser Yekaterinburg, a heavy cruiser, 2 light cruisers, and 2 destroyers. Once again, the older ships are the ones actually being engaged here. With smoke spotted in the north, the destroyers are rushing ahead, while the heavier ships are going to trail behind. We will try to not expose the battlecruiser to too much enemy fire at this point, and make sure that the two stay together and can have mutually supporting fire while the destroyers are going to scout. And as such, I'm actually going to get the Wuppertal to fall in with the Nassau at this point. Because the Wuppertal is just so much faster that if we reduce the speed to 19 knots, the two of them can actually stay together. And we are outnumbered, so I'm going to send the destroyers out first. Northeast it is actually. See if we can get the destroyers to... let's get them into a normal formation. I don't want them to be too loose. And see if we can get them to scout while the other two are falling into formation. We have been spotted. There is incoming fire, and there's the first target. That is probably the enemy battlecruiser. She looks like a pre-Dreadnought design as well. So we'll see how that ends up working out. But the destroyers, there are two enemy destroyers and a couple of light cruisers, so the destroyers are still going to have to spot those. Probably if we see a smoke screen up ahead, things will get interesting. Until then, Wuppertal is falling in behind Nassau. We'll maintain our course for now and try to get a solution on that enemy battlecruiser, which seems to outrange us. So at least when it comes... Oh no, actually never mind. Nassau is returning fire. So let's see how that ends up, and let's see how precise she is gonna get. Yeah, there are 3 smoke screens spotted on the horizon, and I think we are going to see light cruisers and destroyers incoming here. First salvo from the Nassau going wide, but we will be observing the splashes, finding our range, and we'll see how that goes. It's interesting that we haven't seen anything of their screens yet. They seem to be actually trailing behind. So far the destroyers are rushing in towards what I can only think is going to be the battlecruiser. And all the while Nassau and Wuppertal are getting into position, and so far they're trading fire, but nobody's been really hitting anything. So if that's the case, we will get the destroyers running in close. Maybe they can get a couple of torpedo hits in, although the torpedoes we have are not greatly effective. Let's see what the accuracy is for now. It's not great, 7%, but it could be worse. We're closing the range for now. We may have to slightly turn away in case. I'm somewhat concerned about the escort ships over there, but for now we'll see if we can get the destroyers in on target and maybe drop some torpedoes. And the two there's enough distance here that we shouldn't be easily surprised by anything. Well, still no hits from anybody. V-14 is starting to take secondary fire from the enemy battlecruiser, and we're still on an intercept course with the destroyers. They're doing 30 knots, and she seems to be still turning in. So if she's willing to go up against the destroyers like that... Oh, what have we spotted there? That is a light cruiser or a heavy cruiser. So I'm going to change fire from the main battle line, because so far we're not hitting the... Well, the battle cruiser is probably the most dangerous one right now. We'll see if the enemy cruiser screen gets a little closer. Then we might be doing something about it. But right now I think the Soviet positioning is not particularly great. There's a cruiser over there. There are destroyers out here and light cruisers as well in these smoke screens, but I am going to see if we can maybe get a torpedo drop onto that battle cruiser. Okay, what have we spotted? That is a light cruiser, I believe. So we're going to get the destroyers. I'm going to get the destroyers to smoke up and target the battle cruiser with aggressive torpedoes. Oh wow, that was a big hit. V-25 has just taken a hit from the 270mm guns of the enemy battle cruiser, and I think she's going to go down. There's no way she's going to survive that. That was a forward belt penetration, and she is blown in half. I think she is going to go absolutely down. So unfortunately, might have smoked up just a little bit too late. So V14 will try to get her torpedoes away, although it's not a good angle because the battle cruiser is sailing away. So we'll see. We'll go into the turn, but that was a very lucky hit. So we will probably shift fire. What's that out there? Is that one of the destroyers? That is indeed one of the destroyers. As long as it stays over there, I don't really mind. Interestingly enough, V-25 is still afloat, but I think she is about to go down. So we'll detach her, and we'll see if we can get her to retreat, but I doubt it. So V-14 is unfortunately alone here now on screening duty, and we will change fire to against the cruiser here and see if we can give V-25 some fire support. Basically the forward half of the ship's been blown off. So another bad hit on what is it with my destroyers today? That battle cruiser is absolutely wrecking my destroyers. She's got two lucky hits in. So I'm gonna have to get both of them to go and retreat actually, if they can survive even. That is very unfortunate. So both of these were, V-14 sinks due to heavy flooding. V-25 is actually still afloat, but barely so. I don't think she's making any more movement. We haven't even landed a single hit yet. So that is very unfortunate. We'll start targeting the light cruiser to take some heat off the destroyers, but that battle cruiser, the Yekaterinburg, that is a both of them are sinking. She's taken another 269mm hit. So yeah, that battle cruiser is very dangerous, and unfortunately we have lost our destroyer screen, but we're starting to finally score the first hit. A main belt over penetration on that light cruiser, but we will now have to we'll maintain our course for now, but I am kind of, where's that light cruiser going? She is kind of coming in to give battle, so I will stay angled against the Yekaterinburg, which is still sailing away. So these are the biggest guns and the biggest threat, but I would love to get a couple more guns on target against that light cruiser. She is now targeting the Wuppertal, I think, and that destroyer here is coming in as well. Not yet in. We're being surrounded here. There are two more destroyers coming in. I'm very impressed by the tactical deployment here of the Soviets. They've sent the destroyers around to surround us, while the battle cruiser was drawing our forces away. So let's see if we can dispatch this light cruiser. If the destroyers decide to give chase, then we will do something about them. But we need to adjust our course a little bit here. We might have to detach Wuppertal, and if push comes to shove, and see if we can if we need to disengage. But first, let's see if we can do something about this light cruiser there. And we do have a relatively good solution on her from the Nassau, and that is a light cruiser. So as long as we're not running into any large number of torpedoes, we keep an eye on these destroyers coming in the rear. Wuppertal can outrun them, Nassau not so much. So let's try to deal with this with the cruiser screen as we are here, and see if we can blow the Grieden out of the water. And there is still a second cruiser sailing in behind. That is, I think, also another light cruiser. So they're the two light cruisers. See if we can deal with these two light cruisers for now. We will have to be careful about torpedoes, obviously, but I'm not sure they are in range just yet. I will change. Yep, nice hit. I will change course again because they are rushing in quite heavily here. And yes, that is going to throw off our solution a little bit, but at this range I think the light cruiser is going to get absolutely obliterated, smokescreen or no smokescreen, both by the primary and secondary guns of these two, the two remaining ships in our line. And the destroyers are closing in from the rear. Very, very interesting tactical move that they've done. They've sort of baited us away with the battle cruiser. And then the destroyers have sailed around us. But yeah, we're blowing that light cruiser completely out of the water here. So let's dispatch these two. And then we'll see what the Yekaterinburg is actually coming in now. So with 19 knots, obviously we have to be careful about the destroyers. But we might be able to just get the secondary guns to deal with the enemy destroyers, if necessary, if they're closing in. Right now we've got light cruisers to delete, and I don't think that light cruiser is going to be afloat for an awful lot longer. Small fires going on Nassau and Wuppertal, but nothing major, and the destroyers are still circling us, kind of. There's a heavy cruiser out there somewhere as well. Interesting approach that they've taken here. But maybe we can manage to defeat them in detail. Yep, that's one down. Next one, Admiral Lazarev. Let's get that thing sunk. And then the Yekaterinburg is sailing away, so she's still trying to bait us, which means we might be able to just deal with the destroyers first if she decides that she just wants to disengage. Honestly, I mean, I will love to get that thing sunk. But well, we'll keep our course for now. We are starting to build a solution on the light cruiser, and she's got already her engines disabled. And yeah, this ship is not going to be around for an awful lot longer, given the sheer amount of incoming fire. I think she's going to go down reasonably quickly, even if she's laying smoke in desperation. Repeated heavy hits, and she's getting completely wrecked apart. This is why I don't like light cruisers particularly. The destroyers are now on our starboard side, which means we may have to... Where's the Yekaterinburg going? Yekaterinburg is turning. Okay, Lazarev is sinking due to heavy flooding. So the initial advantage that they've gained from this surrounding maneuver is there is also the heavy cruiser steaming in. I'm not certain. I think I want to finish off the Yekaterinburg if we can. We don't have eyes on the destroyers. They're probably trying to line up for a torpedo run, but we should be able to avoid that without too much trouble. The Yekaterinburg's got the biggest guns, even though they are even smaller than Nassau's. So let's see if we can finish that thing off, and then we can turn around and deal with the other ones. So we will... oh, that was an overpen on the main tower. Yeah, we do need to maintain our angle. We have a very, very good solution on her now. So I think she is going to start taking some punishing fire here as we go. And I think she's overestimated her capabilities here a little bit. And maybe this operation is going to backfire on the Soviets. That they thought they could They thought they could bait us into being surrounded, but we'll manage to defeat them in detail. Nassau is taking the beating because she is the lead ship. We'll see if we can get a couple good hits in on the other one. Just have to be... Okay, the destroyers are coming in now. So I am going to start focusing the secondaries on the destroyers. And the main guns on the Yekaterinburg. We also still have to contest with that heavy cruiser back there. But I think that's an older one. I think that might not be fast enough to do an awful lot. Okay, first hits and impacts on the Yekaterinburg. Partial penetrations on the belt, both from the Nassau and from the Wuppertal. And I am not sure. Nassau has wing turrets. I'm not sure if I can, because I can only control if I'm going to get main guns or secondary guns on which target. So I am not sure if I can get the right side turrets, the starboard side turrets of the Nassau targeting the destroyers. I don't think I can. But the Yekaterinburg is coming into a range. Nassau's got a 50% solution. How about Wuppertal? Yeah, 50% solution. So why are we firing high explosive at that thing? Can we please firing armor piercing with the main guns? Same with Wuppertal. I would prefer that. She is giving us a relatively flat broadside here, so please fire armor piercing with the mains. Nassau's taken a couple of glancing hits, but nothing severe so far. We just have to be careful about these destroyers over here. They are in a tail chase, so they can't actually send torpedoes our way. So maybe that, yeah, that's more like it. A couple of that was aft deck partial aft belt penetration. We do need to adjust our course slightly, so we can get all the guns on target. And we are taking gunfire from the destroyers, but I don't think they will have torpedo angles at us necessarily. So the secondaries are opening up, but the distance to the destroyers with 3.7 kilometers, yeah, not a great chance for the secondaries to actually hit them. But let's see if we can inflict some damage onto that Soviet battle cruiser. She is already burning merrily, and we are taking out a couple of casemates. And again, we do need to turn ever so slightly, which unfortunately brings us closer to the destroyers, but just to allow our ships to get all our guns on target. I am actually going to get the Wuppertal. At this point, I'm going to detach the Wuppertal. Wuppertal, accelerate to flank, all ahead flank, and focus on these. Focus your guns on these destroyers. While I think the Nassau can probably take this one, and Nassau secondaries. So Nassau can focus all her guns on the Yekaterinburg, and the Wuppertal. Yeah, there come some torpedoes. And that's already why I'm speeding up the Wuppertal, so such that she can, because she was the one more at threat from the torpedoes. Such, oh, nice hits there from the Nassau's starboard turrets. More torpedoes incoming, so Wuppertal needs to go evasive now. Make sure that she doesn't get hit by the second torpedo here. Probably drop speed again, and. No, actually maintain speed. Never mind, maintain speed straight ahead. No, hard to port. Nassau should be alright. Nassau is battering the Yekaterinburg, but Wuppertal needs to try and dodge these torpedoes. Not sure I am going to get away from that. I think I'll straighten her out now. She should be able to outrun the torpedo. Yeah, all ahead flank. The heavy cruiser is coming in behind us, and that's the first destroyer sunk. The Wuppertal target the second destroyer. She's outrun the torpedoes. Nassau keep hammering the Yekaterinburg, which is burning and has a couple of really nice 280mm shaped holes on the side. So that's good. And once Wuppertal has dealt with the other destroyer, and I am going to get her to turn, actually. And then Wuppertal can turn around and also deal with the heavy cruiser, because she's got the speed to intercept them. Yep, nice. Actually, I'll just maintain your course, because that was a good hit on the second destroyer. And are there more torpedoes in the water? There are more torpedoes in the water. We have spotted more torpedoes. So Wuppertal needs to dodge those. I think Nassau should be all right. And they might have been aimed at Nassau, honestly. So let's get both into a hard turn to port to dodge the incoming torpedoes from that destroyer. Nassau, focus your secondaries on that thing, please. And Wuppertal, keep focusing your main guns on that. And I think that should be the end of that destroyer relatively soon. Yeah, Nassau, these were definitely aimed at Nassau, so she needs to go into a hard turn and try to avoid these torpedoes, or at least present a sufficiently steep angle. No, I think she's dodged. Okay, straighten out, rudder midships, and avoid the torpedoes. Wuppertal unfortunately needed to have a bit of a turn here. Wuppertal now has better angles at the Ekaterinburg, so I think given that the destroyers have just launched their torpedoes, and we've managed to avoid them, we will both focus now on the Ekaterinburg. That since we are passing this ship, the heavy cruiser is still far out. The destroyer is disengaging. It's got her engines taken out. So while we have good angles at the Yekaterinburg, let's inflict some damage here. And that torpedo actually looks relatively dangerous. She almost hit the. Almost hit the Yekaterinburg with their own torpedoes. Nassau is closer. Wuppertal needs to turn. Nassau is coming into a slugfest here, but the Yekaterinburg is definitely drawing the shorter straw here. She's already taking on significant amounts of water, and I don't even know if her turrets can elevate. The wing turrets are actually underwater already, so I think her turrets can't elevate anymore. Nassau has taken a bit of a flood in the aft, and I think at this point Nassau can probably finish her off. So let's get Wuppertal to turn around. I think Nassau can finish her off. Wuppertal, turn around and take on that destroyer. So we'll get Wuppertal to do a hard turn, and yeah, Nassau is hammering the Yekaterinburg, which is basically dead in the water at this point, with both main and secondary batteries. So Nassau has rudder problems after being hit in the stern, but I think we are good to. I think she'll be all right finishing up that battle cruiser. Yeah, that was a main belt penetrations or aft belt penetrations that we've hit there, and yeah, she's got her engines knocked out. She's flooding all over. I think that one's going down, which means we can get Wuppertal to do a full turn while Nassau finishes off the Yekaterinburg and intercept that destroyer coming in. While she doesn't have anything to shoot at otherwise. That heavy cruiser is still coming in for battle, honestly, which is fascinating. But that's not going to do her any good, because Wuppertal is going to do 27 knots once she's up to speed. And there's the destroyer. So Wuppertal, focus on the destroyer, please. Is the destroyer still moving? Yes, it is, actually. Even though she has taken some significant damage, they're not giving up that easily. So Wuppertal, lay course, yep, like that's a decent course. And the Yekaterinburg is still afloat, not by an awful lot. So we might get Nassau to slightly turn and try to finish. She's still returning fire from her rear turrets. Wow. Definitely definitely tenacious, aren't they? So let's get Wuppertal in close, such that she can, and switch to autoguns, yeah. And also Nassau switch back to auto. And she is barely afloat. The Yekaterinburg is going to go down. And Wuppertal is engaging. Yep, Yekaterinburg goes down. So Nassau can now also perform the turn and start engaging the destroyer. And then Wuppertal is already on a good course as she is. And we just have to be careful about torpedoes. There might be torpedoes in the water again. Because so once we're getting past the launch angles, if we're not getting nice hit from Nassau here on the Zarki. She might still have torpedoes ready, so Wuppertal is going to have to do again, unfortunately, a hard turn in, just to make sure that we avoid any potentially incoming torpedoes, which is going to throw the fire off. But the Wuppertal's gunners know what they're doing. The destroyer is, I think, at this point dead in the water, and it's just a matter of finishing her off and just to make sure that she doesn't get. Yep, Zarki is sinking as well, which means that now Wuppertal can straighten out the course, swing the guns around, and start aiming at that heavy cruiser. Nassau needs to do a full turn and engage as well, but Wuppertal is the faster one. And against the heavy cruiser, I am just going to go in with Wuppertal. And yes, we've had some losses here with the destroyers, with some really lucky hits from the Yekaterinburg. So definitely not the former Imperial Russian gunners, now Soviet gunners. Not to be underestimated, but Nassau and Wuppertal have been well dealing with things by themselves pretty comprehensively so far. That heavy cruiser, what's it looking like? That is a very similar design to what we've seen from the British recently. 2 main gun turrets and a whole bunch of secondaries, and probably torpedoes, obviously. Nassau has taken a little bit of a beating from that engagement with the Yekaterinburg, but Wuppertal should have no problem on finishing that thing off. I don't know if she's got bow torpedoes. It's possible. Destroyers are more predictable where they're going to launch their torpedoes, so we'll have to be a bit careful with crossing the T. But we've got a 64% solution, 70% solution on the 305. So that heavy cruiser is not, and she's firing armor piercing. That heavy cruiser is not going to be happy when these guns eventually actually hit. So if we can manage to hit her, that is. And Nassau has got, Nassau doesn't have a great solution, but there come the first hits. All Wuppertal's 8 guns are on target. The secondaries are blazing away. And there's almost no way that we can miss her at this range. So we'll just have to wait for the 305s to reload, and the next salvo should cause some significant damage, because so far she's only been scratched by the secondaries. She's been quite lucky. But let's be careful if she wants to get her torpedoes away. Those shots out, armor piercing, and it looks like... Oh no, not yet. There come the 305s. Okay, shots out, armor piercing, and over penetrations and partial penetrations. Okay, that heavy cruiser is relatively resistant by the looks of it. That's a point blank salvo of armor piercing. She might have torpedoes away at this point, so I'm going to get Wuppertal to turn in and to drop speed to 16 knots such that we can get a harder turn. Yep, there come the torpedoes. We'll see if we can avoid those. So she does have side-mounted torpedoes. She did look like she was going to go for a torpedo drop. And she has been taken out by our secondaries. So there we go. The fires have spread throughout the whole ship, and that was the end of that. So yes, we have lost the V-25 and the V-14, brave little destroyers, to some lucky hits from the Soviets. They have been giving us a valiant fight. I have to give them that. But in the end, Nassau and Wuppertal have again taken out the rest of the 2 destroyers, 2 light cruisers, 1 heavy cruiser and 1 battle cruiser.